It's a beautiful day out there. Time to explore. Well, welcome to our video tour of the Gila cliff dwellings in New Mexico. I don't know about anybody else, but anytime I go to a national monument, national park, first thing I do is put on my seatbelt. That beep beep you're hearing is the truck saying I don't have my seatbelt on. So where the trail, I don't know if you noticed the sign, you have to come back out to go to the actual cliff dwellings. About a mile down the road. So we're pulling up to the visitor center. Gila Visitor Center, Gila National Forest, cliff dwelling. So let's give it a park and go in and see what's there. Whenever Melody and I go to a national park / national monument, first thing we always do is stop in the visitor center. There's generally a ton of information about wherever you're visiting, and I think most importantly, they have updates. Is this trail closed? Is there fire danger? So I always think it's a good idea to stop by, let them know where you're going in case you get into trouble. And the one at the cliff dwellings, it's a nice little visitor center. There's a movie, exhibits, explains the area. But one unique thing, at least for us, is they generally at these visitor centers have gift shops where they want to sell you things. Well, they do have a gift shop at the cliff dwellings, but it's not at the visitor center. They have another center at the Trailhead where you can pick up books and supplies and things like that. So make sure you stop by before you actually take the hike to see if there's any updates that you should know before you do it. That's a nice little visitor center. Most of them have bookstores, places to buy things, but that, they told us, is down. They have the bookstore at the actual cliff dwellings. So that's where we're heading to now. Should be right down this road. As we shall see, cliff dwellings, campgrounds, corral, trails.
Can't take your pets up on the trail, but they have corrals for free.
Oh, that didn't come through. You can corrals for your pets. It's cool. Or Scorpion Campground. That sounds so inviting. Scorpion Campground. Scorpions, they're our friends. Upper Scorpion Campground. More of our friends. And I think we've come to the cliff dwellings. It's about 90 today, so I was kind of hoping to find something out of the sun, but doesn't look like it's happening. Pull it in here. So, Let's go see some cliff dwellings. Okay, here we are at the start of the trip up to the cliff dwellings. They have this really nice little bridge to go across, so here we go. It's supposed to be a 1 mile loop. Oh wow, we're actually going over water. Partially in the shade, partially in the sun. Spraying water. That's one side of the bridge. Since this is a loop hike, I assume this is where it starts and ends. And we have a sign there for the cliff dwelling, so let's head. I think it's going to be one of these things, enjoy the shade while we can, while we have it. Well, it's been so nice so far. We're following this little stream. Oh, that was a quick turn. Over here. And just taking this path through the woods. Led by Juan de Alante, Spanish colonists settled east and south of the area of the cliff dwellings in 1598. The Spanish stayed close to the main travel routes and the Rio Grande Valley, and by the early 1800s had not penetrated the Gila River country as far as these cliff dwellings. After an 1878 prospecting trip, H.B. Ailman documented the cliff dwellings. Archaeologist Adolf Bandelier arrived in 1884, but looters had already stolen many artifacts and destroyed much of the archaeological record. Settlement of the region by miners and ranchers accelerated after the Apache Wars ended in 1886. Towns like Pinos Altos and Mogollon sprang up in the response to the mining boom. Homesteaders emigrated to the area to raise herds of cattle and sheep. Still others cut high country forests for timber. In 1907, President Theodore Roosevelt proclaimed Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument to prevent further damage and vandalism to the cliff dwellings. Well, we got to the top of the climb, and we're having our first... Almost. Sorry about the jump there. This is the first good shot of the actual cliff dwellings, so I wanted to share it with you before we get there. Well, it would appear that we made it. There are obviously, at some time, some fires in here because you can see the soot, but I don't know if this would actually be a dwelling. And we came up here, it's probably pushing 90. It's incredibly how much cooler it is just inside this alcove here. So I think the main thing that we're looking for here, those rocks to navigate, is just around this corner over here. About 40 rooms built inside 5 natural caves have yielded evidence that people traded both materials and ideas. Macaw feathers, probably from Mexico, and T-shaped doorways like those found in the other areas of the southwest and northwest Mexico. With cultured crops like corn came a more sedentary lifestyle. But migrations appear to be one way that ancient Pueblans coped with the cycle of drought common throughout the Southwest. More questions than answers surround the story of the people who built structures inside Cliff Dweller Canyon's natural caves. Archaeological evidence suggests that many different groups of people inhabited this area over several thousand years. What motivated this group to build inside the caves, and why did they stay here for only a few decades? Answers to these questions are unknown. The ancient Puebloan people who built these cliff dwellings belonged to a larger tradition that included part of what is now Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and northern Mexico. Archaeologists call this the Mogollon area. Its pottery style and buildings differ slightly from those of the ancestral Puebloan area farther north. The Puebloans who once lived here grew corn, beans, and squash, foraged the fertile Gila River Valley and surrounding forests for native plants, and hunted the area's game. Departing from traditional regional dwelling forms, first pit houses and then surface pueblos, they built their pueblo inside the caves of Cliff Dweller Canyon with rock, mortar, and timber felled between 1276 and 1897. The pottery found in the caves suggests that they came from the Tularosa River region to the north. During a time of many migrations in the southwest, they moved on by around 1300. Evidence suggests that the Chiricahua Apaches migrated to the upper Gila River in the 1500s, though some of their oral traditions say that it has always been their homeland. Legendary leader Geronimo was born near the Gila River headwaters in the early 1920s when Mexico challenged Apache control of the area. 30 years later, the United States asserted its authority in the area. It built army posts, and by 1870, the federal government began to relocate the Apache to reservations. But not until September 1886 were the last of the Bidonkohi, as Geronimo's people were known, forced from their ancestral lands, led by Geronimo himself. Most of the rooms were built in the 1280s, but humans have used these caves for shelter much earlier. The heavy soot on the cave's ceiling and artifacts that date to earlier cultural groups make it likely that humans temporarily camped in these caves for thousands of years. Yet only the Mogollon people decided to build within the caves and make this place their home. There must have been very compelling events that caused these people to leave their pueblos and reside in the cliffs. So those are the cliff dwellings. You can imagine how much cooler it was inside them than it is out here in the sun. Now, you have a choice at this stage. You can either follow the loop trail, which we're doing, but you're going to spend the entire time in the sun. I'm not even sure how these pictures are going to, this video is going to look with me hopping down these rocks. So if you want to be out of the sun, virtually the entire way up was in the shade. But this seems to be half the distance going this way, then the way up to the dwellings. So Melanie and I have decided to opt for hike in the sun, get down quicker. So that was me almost tripping. So see you when we get to the bottom. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Made it back down once again, as we usually do. Picnic lunch, P&J, barbecue chips, banana, limeade, best day, the other four, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to keep repeating it. And if you're in the area, let me tell you, the drive to get here, you're going up a 7,000-foot mountain with a lot of hairpin turns and 25, 30 mile an hour. It's going to take you a while to get here, but it is definitely worth the trip. So I'm really glad we came. We had a great time, and have yourself a blessed day.